This is Gigla Sakshi, and we are going to be reading together the book summary of Invisible Influence by John A. Berger. So, without any further ado, let's start right from the introduction. What if someone tells you that your decisions are not entirely your own? That a strong influence is affecting you and you don't even notice it. This is social psychology. Experts say that 99% of our decisions are shaped by other people. It can be our siblings, our friends, our schoolmates, or anyone around us. You don't believe it? This book will change your mind. Here are stories of how other people influence our choices in life. Let's discuss them one by one. Monkey see, monkey do. Now first let's have a basic vision exercise. Imagine there are two cards in front of you. On the left is a card drawn with one line and the card on the right side has 3 lines. You're supposed to match which of the lines on the right card has the same length as the line on the left card. This is the answer key. The correct answer is the third line or line C. Why? Because you will see that line A is a little shorter and line B is a little longer. Line C is just right. You might clearly see this when you are alone. But the challenge is that you will do this vision test with 6 other people. So, you enter the room and see the other participants. The researcher will ask all of you one by one. Since you are the last one to enter, you will hear all the others' answers first. The first participant looks at the lines and confidently answers line B. The next participant takes his time and also answers line B. The other participants, third, fourth, and fifth, and so on, answers line B. So, what do? The clear answer in your mind is line C. You clearly see that it is the one with the same length as the line on the left card. You wonder why all the others answered line B. What do you think your answer will be? Do you follow your own gut or follow the other participants? Let's hold that thought for a while and discuss this other study by psychologist Muzaffar Sharif. He was interested to know how other people's opinions affect our own. Inside a dark room, there was a small pinpoint of light on the wall. The task of the participants is to stare at the light and determine how long it has moved. They will do this one by one and then by groups. The correct answer is that the small point of light did not move at all. But when staring for too long, our eyes get tired. They move involuntarily, which makes the illusion that the dot moves when it is in just one place. First, Sheriff made the participants go into the room one by one. Some of them guessed that the dot moved by 2 inches. The others guessed that it moved by 6 inches. Next, the participants were asked to go inside in groups of 3. As compared to their answers when they are alone, there are participants who increased their guess to 3.5 inches and others who decreased their answer to 4 inches. Now, why did this all happen? The participants are trying to conform with the group. They did not notice it, but the participants are strongly influenced by the other participants' opinions. This concept is called social influence. We do not notice it too, and we claim that our decisions are based on our own likes, dislikes, and values in life. But studies have proven that we are 99% influenced by the decisions of other people. The experiment earlier with the 3 lines is done by psychologist Solomon Asch. The correct answer is line C. It is the one with the same length as the line on the left card. Asch also tried to add actors on the experiment. He tried to put only one participant and the rest were 6 actors. All the 6 actors answered line B, but the participant could clearly see that the right answer is line C. So no matter how clear the right answer is, the participant chose line B to conform with the group. 75% of them did it. This proves that even if we know for ourselves which is the rightful choice, we are still likely to follow the group even when the decision is wrong. A horse of a different color. Morgan Bryan is a 12-year-old soccer player. One day, she found out that her whole team is included in the Olympic development program. All of her teammates' names are there on the list, except for her. For Morgan, soccer is her life, and this failure devastated her. But instead of giving up, she made the best out of that summer. Morgan had always been the shorter and skinnier player. Her teammates even call her Plankton. But she trained and practiced. She dedicated her whole time in improving her body and her skills. Morgan repeated her kicks until it became second nature to her. 1 year after her failure, Morgan made it into the state team, then the regional team, and then the youth national team. 10 years after that, she is already on the US national team. Morgan is only 22 years old and she played for the 2015 Women's World Cup. If you ask Morgan to whom does she owe her success, one of them is her sister Jennifer, who is 5 years older than her. Morgan and Jennifer would practice every day until it was time for dinner. Jennifer became her trainer and practice partner. It is interesting to know that majority of elite women's soccer players in America are not firstborn children. Most of them have older siblings. For example, out of the 23 players on the 2015 Women's World Cup team, 17 have older brothers and sisters. The researchers collected all the names of the players from the women's national team training camp from age 14 to 23. They studied the factors that are similar among all of them. There is one striking factor that is the same among top athletes, and that is birth order. 75% of the best players have older brothers or sisters. In other words, they are usually not firstborn children. Like Morgan, other top performers have older siblings to practice with. The older siblings are bigger and faster. That encourages the younger siblings to try harder and develop the skill. This is true not only for soccer, but for other sports as well. How many siblings do you have? Who are you close with? Siblings tend to imitate and also differentiate from each other. For example, you might have an older sister who is good in art, and you might try to do art as well. But there are also times when we want to differ from our siblings. If your older brother is the smart one, then you try to be the funny one. And maybe you have a younger brother who is the sporty one. In other words, we want to stand out in a different niche. Even twins try to be as different as they can from one another. They pursue different likes and have different personality. Now, imagine that you are in a bar with your two best friends. You give your orders to the waiter one by one. Your first friends order red ale, and the second one orders pale ale. Though you want pale ale too, you end up ordering the summer-style beer. Why? Just because you want it to be different. Not if they are doing it. Karen is a student at Stanford University. One night, she had visitors in her dorm saying that they are from the Stanford Cancer Awareness Group. They said that November is Wear Yellow Month and they are selling wristbands to raise funds. One of the girls handed Karen a yellow wristband. She said that the donation of $1 or more will go to cancer research. She also asked Karen to wear the wristband to spread cancer awareness. Okay, Karen said. She agreed to donate $1 and wear the wristband. She also got one more wristband for her roommate, Catherine. Thank you, the volunteer said. Don't forget to wear your wristbands. The next week, Karen arrived in her dorm and smelled pizza. She saw her dorm mates sharing boxes of pizza and filling out some forms. "What's going on?" she asked. One of her friends answered that they were asked to answer a survey by some business students. The exchange for participating in the study is a slice of pizza. Karen agreed and read the questions on the form. They were general questions like how late she goes to bed. Among the questions is whether she owns cause-related items like a yellow wristband or a 5K t-shirt. Karen checked on the yellow wristband and finished the other questions. Finally, she got her own slice of pizza. Cool, techie, smart, nerd. Which word would best describe you in college? In Stanford, there is a special academic focus dorm called SLE, or Structured Liberal Education. Students there have extra lectures and additional readings, like for example, in Indian mythology or Christianity in the Middle Ages. The students in SLE are known as the geeks of Stanford. Other students don't really dislike the geeks. They are just not considered cool. If you are one of Karen's dorm mates and you learned that the geeks are wearing the yellow wristbands, would you still wear it? Here is the twist in our story. The author of this book, John A. Berger, and another best-selling author, Chip Heath, led that research study. All of it was a setup, starting from the selling of wristbands for cancer awareness. They wanted to know if the students would still wear the wristbands when they learn that the geeks of Stanford are also wearing them. Karen was already wearing the wristband for a week, and so are her dorm mates. They supported the cancer awareness cause, and they seemed to like wearing the wristband too. But Professor Chip Heath and John A. Berger found out that majority of the students stopped wearing the wristbands when the geeks started wearing them. There's no problem with the wristbands. The other students just don't want to look like geeks too. Similar, but different. A couple, Caesar and Rebecca, had been hoping for a baby boy for several years. They already have twin 4-year-old girls, and this time they were hoping for a baby boy in the family. When Rebecca got pregnant, they were very excited. Finally, their prayers had been answered. The baby is a boy, but the question is, what name to give him? The relatives suggested many names to the couple, and still they cannot choose. Some names sound too old-fashioned. Some are too weird. That was until in early 2006, when the couple finally decided to name the baby boy Keegan. The family became very happy with their new member. A few years later, though, the kindergarten teacher of Keegan would find out something strange. That is, out of our 26 students, 6 of them have names that started with K or C with a K sound. The students are Keegan, Kimberly, Kevin, Keely, Carmen, Carson. Was it just a coincidence, or is there a deeper reason for this? The author John A. Berger studied it with Wharton professor Eric Bradlow. They asked help from the U.S. Social Security Administration, who has the list of all the names of American citizens over the last 125 years. The Social Security Administration has the record of how many Susans, Jessies, or Jacobs have been born in 1900, 1901, 1902, and so on. As John A. Berger and his colleagues studied the data, they found out that hurricanes influence how the people choose names for their children. Hurricane Katrina is one of the worst hurricanes that hit America. It was in 2005. As we noted earlier, Keegan and 5 of his classmates have names beginning in letter K. The data also shows that there was a 10% increase all over America of babies who have names with the K sound during that time. In 1992, when Hurricane Andrew hit, babies with names that begin with A also increased by 7%. Hurricane Katrina is one of the 5 deadliest hurricanes in American history. More than $100 billion of property were destroyed and more than 1,800 people died. Why would anyone want their child associated with such a disaster? The data shows that people stopped naming their babies Katrina. That is a 40% drop in rate. The Katrina name became unpopular, but names that begin with K or the K sound increased. Many babies have names like Kate, Kinsey, or Cora. The name Keely became more popular by 25%. The name Kaylin became more popular by 55%. That is what we call similar but different. The Goldilocks effect. Now, let's discuss an important concept. Have you ever heard of the Goldilocks effect? The children's story Goldilocks and the Three Bears goes like this. Goldilocks visits the bears, and each one of them has a different preference for food and bedding. One bear likes a firm bed, the next one likes a soft bed, and the other bear likes a bed which is not too firm and not too soft, but just right. Goldilocks tries each one, and she likes the bed which is somewhere in the middle. The 3 bears have some porridge. One of them likes it too hot, the next one likes it too cold, and the other one just likes it warm. Not too hot and not too cold, but just right. Goldilocks chooses this porridge, which is somewhere in between. We are talking about the concept of familiarity and novelty. Imagine a graph with an inverted U-curve. We like things which are familiar to us, and we avoid things which are new to us. But when something gets too familiar, we find it boring. There are also times when we are seeking novelty or something new. There is a point in the inverted U where we choose familiarity more than novelty and vice versa. Let's say, for example, that you come home from work and you found out that your spouse bought a new sofa. Or you went to the bathroom and you found that the towels were new. Your spouse says, "The grey ones were getting old, so I bought new turquoise sets. Don't they look great?" You would probably be surprised. You are already used to seeing that piece of furniture or using that towel. When you sit on the new sofa or wipe with that new towel, you feel a little weird or uncomfortable. You might even feel like you are in your neighbor's living room and not your own. See, this is novelty or experiencing something new, and it arises in us a negative reaction. Because they are new, we still need to process it and absorb what's going on. We need to check if it's okay or if it's safe. We are curious and a little bit scared. It takes time to get used to the new sofa or new bath towel. But with repeated exposure, you get more familiar with it. You find out that the new sofa is just as comfortable as the old one. You start to like it and it becomes part of your daily routine. However, when we are already too familiar with something, we start to get bored with it. It's like eating in the same restaurant, hearing the same song, or watching a movie for the 3rd time. This is why, just like Goldilocks, we need to have that balance of familiarity and novelty in our life. Come on, baby, light my fire. In the late 1800s, Norman Triplett pioneered the field we now call social psychology. In his master's thesis, he studied the data of over 2,000 cyclists. Triplett noticed that cyclists finish faster when they are on the field with other cyclists as compared when they are practicing alone. This phenomenon is called social facilitation. It is when the presence of others leads people and animals to perform better and faster than when they are on their own. Monkeys tend to work harder on simple tasks when other monkeys are watching. Rats explore more when other rats are around. Dogs run faster when in a group than when alone. Ants dig 3 times more sand when other ants are there. But there are also times when the presence of others ruins our performance, right? Have you experienced that? Like family or friends come to see you perform. Then you make a mistake in front of everyone. When does the presence of others improve our performance, and when does it become a negative factor? Bob Zechong is a renowned social psychologist from the University of Michigan. He has the most interesting research subject. That is, none other than cockroaches. Zechong built a stadium for the cockroaches. It is a plexiglass cube where he could clearly observe the cockroaches race. On the right side of the cube is a dark starting box where Zechong places the cockroaches first. A thin metal door separates them from the race course. On the left side of the cube is the dark finishing box. It is a well-known fact that cockroaches hate light. They always find somewhere dark to cover. Zechong used a floodlight. When he opens it and releases the cockroaches to the race course, they will run as fast as they can to the other side, which is the dark finishing box. Now, Zechong tested the effect of the presence of other cockroaches to the racers' performance. He built little cockroach stands for the audience. He attached it to the sides of the plexiglass cube so that the other cockroaches can watch the race. Zechong had a theory. This is what makes the difference, whether we do a good or bad performance in the presence of others. He proposed that when the task is easy or familiar to us, having other people perform with us or watch us will improve our performance. But when the task is difficult or foreign to us, the presence of others will cause us to have a poor performance. And so, Zechong created another version of the race course. The first one was the straight line where the cockroaches will only need to run straight to the other side. The second one is a perpendicular race course. It looks like a compass from above where the finishing line is on the east side. The cockroaches might run straight first or turn to the left before finding the right finish line. It takes them a while to finish this race. Zechong found out that his hypothesis was right. The cockroaches run very fast and they beat their own record when other cockroaches watch them on the straight line. But on the perpendicular racetrack, it takes them 3 times as much to finish the race. It was as if the cockroaches are distracted or nervous. The presence of others and the difficulty of the new track affected their performance. Time for conclusion. You learned about the 3-line and dot experiment. Even if you know the correct answer for sure, you are still bound to follow the answers of others. You learned about sibling rivalry. We are likely to differ on interests and personality with our siblings. We want to be known in our own niche. You learned about wristbands and the geeks of Stanford. We stop certain behaviors when we don't want to be associated with labels or groups of people. You learned about baby names and Hurricane Katrina. People avoided the name Katrina itself, but they still chose K-sound names for their children. You learned about the Goldilocks effect then. When something gets too familiar, we get bored. And when something is new, we need to get familiar to it first. So, the trick is to be in the middle. Find the balance between familiarity and novelty. You learned about Professor Zechong and his cockroach experiment. When the task is easy, we perform well in the presence of other people. But when the task is difficult, we perform poorly. The presence of others has different effects. Now, you know about social psychology. Our decisions and opinions are strongly influenced by the people around us. So, be careful and choose carefully. Think about the invisible influences affecting you. And that was it for today's summary. I hope you liked it. To show your love and support, do add it to your favorites. Comment down below on what you like the most about it. This is Gigla Sakshi signing off. And I'll meet you very soon with another book summary. Until then, take good care of yourself, stay blessed, goodbye, Jai Hind.